What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Mezco 1/12 Collective Dr. Fate. And so here we have Dr. Fate posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through what he comes with. Dr. Fate does come with two different head sculpts. We do get a head sculpt where he has a helmet on. Then we have a helmetless head, which looks really nice. I do like the detailing on it. He also does come with an empty helmet of Naboo, which looks really good. I am glad they included that. He comes with 5 pairs of hands. We get a pair of fists. We get a pair of clinching hands. We get a pair of flat hands. We get a pair of style pose hands. And then we get a pair of spellcasting hands. We also get 2 attachments to his wrist, which do fit really nicely. I do like these. And then we get 3 different constructs. We do get an Ankh. We get a square construct, which looks really nice. And then we get a circular construct, which also looks really good. His final accessory is the Book of Fate, which looks really, really nice. I do like that. And then, of course, he does come with the Mezco display stand with the Dr. Fate Ankh on it, and then we get a Mezco flight stand arm. Other than that, Dr. Fate doesn't come with anything else, so let's actually move on to his details. And so here we have a closer look at the Mezco 1/12 Dr. Fate, and I really, really like the way this figure came out. One thing I really do like is the little feature right here. I'm not one for light up gimmicks. I think that they should not even implement them because it does take away from the figure in some aspects, which we'll get into, but it does give it some really nice quality to it. So the way you actually work his light up gimmick is first you got to pop his head off, then you got to turn this little piece just a little bit to pull it out. You insert the batteries and then you turn the switch on, then you do put it back in, twist it so that the light is facing forward. When you put the head back on, his eyes light up, and that's a really nice little detail. I really do like that. It looks really nice. Unfortunately, my studio lights do destroy the illusion a little bit because this is a really bright light. It just so happens that my studio lights are brighter. But yeah, really, really liking the helmet design on Dr. Fate here. There's so much that they could have done and added to it, which I think would have taken away from the simplicity that is Dr. Fate. I think the bevels in the helmet look good, and overall they did a really good job with this head sculpt, and I really do like the way the eyes light up. Something to also point out is that his chest also lights up, but again, my studio lights are very bright, and it does make this not look as bright, but it still looks really nice. And I do like the fact that Mezco showed some restraint in designing this Dr. Fate costume. Whenever they do a Mezco figure, they normally add a bunch of details that shouldn't really be there. Dr. Fate here just has a simple blue jumpsuit, and the armor bits are the only thing that have some design on it, which is the way I think Dr. Fate should be. I really do like the chest piece that he has right here. One thing I do like is that his cape is wireframed from the collar all the way around. So as you see, it goes all the way down. We have a wireframe going to the tip of the cape right here, running the length of the bottom, and then back up to the collar. So every part of his cape has a wireframe, so I really do like that. So again, having a look at his costume, it's really simple where it needs to be simple, especially right here on the jumpsuit. They didn't add anything to it, which I honestly do prefer that. The only details that we do get are here on his gauntlets, and I really like the fact that it is two-tone gold. We have a really dull gold, and then we have more of a yellowish gold, and I really like the fact that you can distinguish the two. Even under my studio lights, they don't just blend into one another. Although I feel like this gauntlet is turned the wrong way. I want to say that the gauntlet should be like that. Yeah, that looks better in my honest opinion. I like the way it curls up right there. But yeah, really liking the armor bits on Dr. Fate here, especially right here. We have this really, really beautiful design on his belt piece. And one thing to point out is that none of these connect, and I think that's a good thing, that you don't want these connecting, because then when moving them around, they might break and snap, and they're made of a soft plastic, so I really do like that little detail. Really do like the gold skirt piece that they gave him. It's the same material that they used for his cape, although it's not lined, at least. Yeah, the little skirt piece that he has right here isn't lined like the cape. The cape has this really nice lining that the camera just doesn't want to focus on. But yeah, the cape has this really nice lining, and then we have some really nice texturing on the back of it. We have this pleather look to it. Really do like that. So moving on to his boots, we have that same design with the boots right here that look really, really good. I do like the way the boots have the same ornate design that we saw on the gauntlets, and turning it around, they did a really, really nice job on the paint. Dr. Fate here looks really nice, and I am really, really happy that I picked up this version of Dr. Fate. He is one of my favorite characters after all. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Dr. Fate posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we have the Mezco 1/12 Collective Dr. Fate posed next to a DC Universe Classics Dr. Fate. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually run through Dr. Fate's articulation. Now, Dr. Fate doesn't have a double ball joint in the head. If you pop his head off, you can see it's just a single ball joint because of the way they implemented this design. I would much rather have a full range of articulation rather than a light up feature because it does hamper some movement, and I get Dr. Fate isn't the most dynamic when it comes to posing, but well, we still need some posing with Dr. Fate. So out of his head you're just going to get a swivel and maybe some very slight up and down, which that's not ideal. We only get left and right movement and some slight up and down with virtually no tilt. We do have ball joints in the shoulder. They don't appear to be butterfly joints. They appear just to be regular hinge joints, which do go out to the side. No problem. A little bit stiff on mine. You can see I'm really forcing it on this side. This side's not so bad. It's mainly just the left side that's a little bit tight. Arms do go up all the way to about right there before they start getting snagged on the suit. We do have a bicep swivel underneath his jumpsuit right here. One thing I do like is that he has double bend at the elbow, which does work really nicely. We have a ball hinge here at the wrist, which does provide up and down movement. We can rotate this joint to give him some in and out movement, so depending on how you have that joint situated depends on what type of hinge you really get. Another point of contention because of the light up feature is that his ab is also slightly hindered. He only leans about that far forward, does lean about that far back, and that's just because the electronics right here have to sit somewhere and they don't have the amount of plastic to use to cut away for joints, so it does really limit articulation. But he does have another ball joint down here which lets him bend a little bit further. Doesn't bend any farther back, and we only get pivot right down here with we get some pivot up here, which I guess it's better than nothing. Legs do kick forward all the way, no problem. Kick back to about right there. Go all the way out to the side, although the jumpsuit does kind of bring his leg back down just because it does stretch, but it doesn't stretch all the way. We do have some thigh swivel up high. Double bend here at the knee. Works no problem. Then we do have a boot swivel, so I'm guessing the swivel is going to be somewhere down here, and then we have the rest of the leg to about there. He has a ball joint in the foot which does go up and down, does pivot left and right, and then we have some slight rotation. And then one final thing, like I said, he does have a wireframe all throughout his cape, so you can pose the cape however you like it, but because it is a double layered cape, it is kind of heavy, so do be aware that when you're posing him, this cape might fall down on itself, and it might also drag him back a little bit. So when you pose him, just keep that in mind. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Mezco 1/12 Collective Dr. Fate posed for my final thoughts, and overall I think Mezco has done an amazing job with this figure. There are things that I don't like about this figure, don't get me wrong. I really don't think that we needed a book with actual paper in it. It is a nice little detail, but at the same time, why? I don't know anybody who has ever asked for actual paper in a toy book. It seems a little bit extreme. I don't know how long the pages will last. It feels like the pages aren't going to last as long as the figure. And I do feel like the light up feature on this figure, though I do like the intent behind it, it isn't necessary, and I feel like that was just a reason to up the price on Dr. Fate. Don't get me wrong, I love Dr. Fate, he's one of my favorite characters, but I don't feel like the light up feature was necessary for Dr. Fate. It just honestly feels like a way for Mezco to up the price of a regular release figure to about $100, which that's about a $15 price jump, which when it's all said and done, it still looks really impressive. But again, I'm not one for the light up feature, and you're not going to want to have the lights on all the time. That's a good way to kill the battery. And if you completely forget about the batteries, there's a chance it can leak and ruin the figure. So honestly, I can do without it. Plus, it would have improved his articulation much more if they had just ignored the light and just given us a solid release figure. Not saying that he isn't a solid release figure. I do like it, but I feel like the light up feature is completely unnecessary, and the paper in the book is absolutely unnecessary. Though it is a nice addition, it's not at all gonna last in the long term, which that's something you really gotta look for when purchasing a figure. Is how is this figure gonna last long term? I don't see him wearing out over time. I feel like the pages from the book will get folded, they'll get ruined. That's the one thing I'm most worried about this figure, so that book is gonna stay closed, at least for me. Overall, I still really do like the way this Dr. Fate came out, and even though it has some things I feel aren't necessary, I still think he's a really good figure to own. And if you haven't already picked up this Dr. Fate, you aren't going to want to sleep on him because he's still a very nice figure. If you are looking for Dr. Fate, unfortunately he is sold out at most online retailers. I know Big Bad Toy Store is sold out, Mezco is sold out, and I think it's just waitlisting for Dr. Fate. I had the unfortunate nature to wait for Dr. Fate and was waitlisted. Thankfully it did convert to a full-on purchase because I really did want Dr. Fate in my collection, and I think he's still a really solid figure. But if you missed out on him, you're gonna have to try local comic book stores or hope that there's some extra copies on secondhand market. Otherwise, you're gonna be paying about $200 for Dr. Fate. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other Mezco videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos. And as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.